Hi, and welcome to SEN Transfer at Castle Newnham. My name is Kat McGee. I'm the secondary SENCO, and I have here.
My name's Alex Welsh, or Mr. Welsh, and I am Assistant Senko here at Castle Newnham.
We're about to just go through a PowerPoint which demonstrates what a SEN student will receive at Castle Newnham. Okay, so we are going to be offering some transfer activities. We've already had an intake evening and the tours have already taken place for some of our students in the autumn term. We provide Google Meets, visits and bespoke tours. These have already started. On the 10th and 13th of June, all K students will be invited in for a tour with parents, and these are led by our junior leadership group, which gives a great opportunity to ask specific questions with students giving their version of what they will experience. 14th of June, that's a Friday, we will have a specific EHCP transfer morning, which has got some fun activities and obviously getting to know us and key members of staff. And the 2nd and 3rd of July are the usual transfer days, and the first day of the term is just the Year 7s only. Okay, so send care, what to expect. This is a usual standard process for all of the schools in the UK that follow the same graduated approach for SEN learners. It's just here for information. But just to be clear, our quality first teaching and our targeted support all follow a core programme process, which is interventions, and we offer a full range of those, but I'll go into those in more detail following on this presentation. So what does it look like? How do we identify SEND? We do follow a graduated response adopted to identify SEND, and this is through assess, plan, do, review process. We use information from SATs and baseline data. And as soon as a student is identified and sent over to the SEND department, we do assess. So we have an internal assessor at our school that we're lucky to have Mrs. Criddle here, and we assess using GL assessment, CTOP, RAT5 and DASH. And these are used, so we basically put in place access arrangements if needed from Year 7. So by the time they get into Key Stage 4, it's their normal way of working for their access arrangements at GCSE. Or our assessments are used for referrals, which are for ADHD or autism.
So on this slide, you can see a visual representation of our whole school approach to SEND. All the roles sitting above teacher quality first teaching and our middle leadership level all feed into our continued professional development, and all roles support the delivery of sort of whole school CPD. In the top right, you can see our ARC lead. They are our lead SEND teacher for our 3 SEND classes that sit parallel to our mainstream offer. On this slide, you can see our identification process, and we take information from this from a range of different avenues, whether that's low assessment data, observations from pupil observations, and checking our systems we already have in place for information. Teachers can then use what we call a SEND concern checklist, which will help identify an area of SEND that the pupil may be experiencing difficulties in. We then adopt some strategy sheets that teachers can RAG rate the strategies and how well they're working, and review some targets after 6 weeks. If there is progress, then there's no further action needed. But if there is minimal to little progress, then we would move the pupil onto quality first teaching, and they would continue with any interventions they're already doing. So what will I expect at Castle Newnham as support? Our intervention in Year 7 for English and Maths is determined by our heads of year, our heads of department, and our intervention lead. Interventions are run within our school timetable, usually form times or core time as we call it here, and in some lessons. Our bespoke interventions are on a needs basis, for example, sensory circuits, trauma-informed approach referrals, pupil and family support, solution focused, cooking behaviour support, outside crafts, mindfulness, social skills support, or arts and crafts. Our core programmes support these interventions alongside class support, and the key worker system is used for any pupil who has identified SEND, and they meet with them regularly and are the main link for that pupil between school and home. And for all our SEND pupils, we adopt a one-page profile which captures the important information about the young person. And lastly, some visual representation of how we adopt the graduated approach. The table on the right shows where our SEND register starts and how our interventions run through SEND, academic and pastoral. And as you're seeing there, our core interventions run through every stage.
So we have a key worker system here at Castle. This is any of our SEND pupils who are known as K or EHCP students, so they're on the SEN register. They have a key worker assigned to them, and they will meet with their key worker as soon as they join in autumn 1. The key worker, along with the student, then creates the one-page profile, which is quality assured by the SEN team. And once it's agreed, it's shared with the pupil, parents, carers, and relevant school staff. The key worker is directed by the SEN team and will usually support in some of the pupils' classes. And they will meet the pupil and contact home regularly and ensuring pupil and parent voice is heard. So lines of communication, so what to do if you need to contact someone at school. So your first port of call is always your form or core tutor. Your second contact is the head of year, and we have here pastoral support managers, and they sit with every head of year, and they are involved in interventions as well, and they link in with the SEN team. Then you have the key worker, and then obviously Senko. Now, sometimes depending on each case, sometimes parents will come directly to the Senko, but it all depends on obviously communication and where that sits in line with that student.
On here, you can see some of our interventions and reasonable adjustments, and you can also see some of our alternative pathways that we use for pupils, such as BTEC Enterprise Award when they get to Key Stage 4. You can see that we use reading pens in the middle, many different forms of therapy and fidget toys, and lots of visuals that support a pupil, and of course in the bottom right, a laptop. And lastly, this is a quick visual of our team. Miss McGee being the Senko on the left, myself, Mr. Welsh, Assistant Senko, Miss Blore, who is our Inclusion Advisory Teacher, and Mrs. Criddle, who is our SEND Administrator. It's been lovely to speak with you. Thanks for listening. That's the end.